Hi everyone, it's Martin here from the bargaining team. One of the things that we wanted to make sure everybody understood was the impact of the college's concessions on SWFs, the standardized workload formula. Obviously, this only really matters to those who are full-time and in teaching. So those who are counselors and librarians, or those who are partial load, this won't be as impactful for you. But for approximately half of the membership, this is going to be a really impactful discussion. So there are some dangerous things that are in the CEC's proposals. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through some of the concessions that the CEC have gone through. I'm going to put them up on the screen. Feel free to pause the video if you want to record them. Also, don't forget you can find every single one of these documents available for you on collegefaculty.org. Our website, along with all of our proposals. And there's going to be some other videos coming out about the SWF under different teaching modalities. But for today, we're going to go through the CEC's proposed concessions and explain to you how they're going to reduce the time that's available for teaching and dump even more work onto those who have, through the workload task force, already told us that they're being stretched. What we're also going to do is build an example SWF. We're going to compare and contrast it to standard SWF as of right now to see what a standard week might look like under some of these teachings. For those who haven't been as familiar with the SWF, really quickly, because most people will, if you're still here, the SWF, the Standardized Workload Formula, is found in Article 11 of the Collective Agreement. And really what it does is it outlines what the college expects you to be doing in any given teaching week. So it's normally broken up into sort of 5 or 6 categories: teaching contact hours, preparation hours, evaluation and feedback hours, out-of-class assistance and administrative hours, and then complementary functions. Okay, I'm going to go through all these one by one and sort of outline what the CEC's proposals, or really their concessions, are going to do to your workload. So those who do get them might get something like this. Each college has a slightly different format, but more or less they look like this. For those at Algonquin College, this might look familiar. I'm at Algonquin College. It looks familiar because it's my one for the winter 2025. But what it does have is the courses being taught, what sections they are, the number of contact hours, the language they're involved in, the type of preparation, and we'll talk about what that means as well, and the factors associated with it, and then the amount of time that's being associated with preparing, along with class sizes, the type of evaluation, and then the number of hours associated with evaluation, along with any additional hours that the college might want to add on. And then complementary hours. So we'll talk a little bit about what all of those mean. But for those who do get a SWF and maybe like, oh, I don't know what my one looked like, it's going to look a little bit like this. Just to zoom in a bit more for those who need it on the screen. Again, it's got what courses are available, the contact hours, so the number of hours they're expecting me to be in a classroom, the language of teaching, what type of preparations are involved, and the factors associated with them. We'll go through that in a minute. And how many hours per week the college expects me to be preparing, what the class sizes are, what the type of evaluations are, and the factors associated with it. Again, I'll go through that in a minute. And then the attributed hours associated with evaluation. And then we've got some complementary hours. This is what the college gives me. There are available a number of calculators. A lot of locals have one. OPSU Local 415, my local, has a great one. It's been shared with a number of different locals. It looks a bit like this. So this is an Excel sheet that does all of these calculations. And so what we've done is we've rebuilt the calculator to take into account what the college is going to do. So this is what I'm going to show you. It gives the same information. So this would be a proposed SWF for some person with 3 courses, each with 3 hours, the type that's associated with it, and the factors. There's the attributed hours for preparation, the number of students, the factors, how many hours are expected to be evaluating, and then complementary functions. So we're going to build a SWF based on some courses. These courses are going to be multimodal. So in that case, what the colleges define multimodal as is any course which has some components of it being asynchronous and some components of it being synchronous. So that's what the colleges define as multimodal. Okay, so we're going to build a SWF based on this. This is what that course would look like here. This person has 7.6 hours of complementary functions a week. So that might be committee work, extra out of class for something like accommodations work. Maybe you're doing some extra work off the side. Maybe you're got some work to do with, maybe you're a vet tech and you've got some animal work that you need to do as well. That would all be built into here. So this course, these three, we're now going to pretend they're multimodal courses. Right now, this one's an established B, which means I taught it at some point in the last 4 years, and then 2 repeat B courses, which means they're the same course. I've got one which is taking me a little bit longer to prepare for, and then 2 repeat ones which then follow. These classes are all going to have 30 students in it. That's actually the average from the workload task force. We now know that most classes have 30 students in it, and we're going to give it an essay or project evaluation. So these students are going to have some sort of essays being handed in, some sort of projects, and that's actually the highest factor you can be awarded. Okay, so that's what we're going to build, but now we're going to do it with the CEC's new proposals. So what have they done? This is a lot of words. Let me quickly break it down. They've changed some of these values. So they've introduced these 2 new preparation types. We start with preparation. So multimode flexible is what they call these things. And you get a new section the first time you're teaching it, right? So if you've previously taught it as a partial load session or part-time employee, that doesn't count, right? But if you're teaching this for the first time, then you'll get this higher rate of 1.2 hours for every hour of contact. Okay. For every other time you teach an asynchronous section, right, or anything that has asynchronous sections associated with it, then you will get this 25 or 15 minutes for every hour. So in my 3-hour course, that actually means that every time I teach it afterwards, they're only going to give me 45 minutes to get this course ready. Okay. Also bear in mind that they've also redefined what a contact hour is. So whereas right now, a contact hour is the hour I'm in front of a student, right? Now a teaching contact hour is only assigned on the standardized workload formula, that SWF, for modalities with synchronous delivery. For any asynchronous hours, the number of teaching contact hours that would have been assigned are no longer being assigned to you. They're used in the calculations, but they're no longer actually hours that you are spending with your students, okay? So let's see what that does. So as a reminder, what we had before, what we've got now is 3 multimodal courses. They're still 3-hour courses, but we're actually only going to spend 1 hour with those students as synchronous hours. The other 2 in these multimodal courses are now going to be associated with asynchronous. That's the setup we're going to suggest, which is actually what we know a large number of teaching looks like. Again, I've got those definitions below. So the teaching contact hour will only be assigned on a standardized workload form for modalities with synchronous delivery. So right now, we've got 1 hour for this course where you are synchronous with the students. For the other 2 hours, we're asynchronous. Also, because we're doing asynchronous sections, which we've already done before, so we've done these courses before, which is what an EB would be, or an established B we had before. Well, now we've got this RC, which means there's only 15 minutes associated with the preparation of this course, which means, or for every hour that is. So overall, I'm only getting 0.75 hours or 45 minutes per week to get this course ready for my students. Okay, so to compare and contrast, originally we had 9 teaching contact hours. That's been knocked down to 3. So the CEC's proposed changes, and bear in mind that the workload task force said that everyone's working harder than they've ever had to work before, right? The CEC's proposed response to this is to cut your hours. And in this case, they're cutting them by a third. What's more, the time taken to get ready. So whereas before I almost had 4 hours, now for 3 courses, I've only got 2 hours and 15 minutes. So before, the CEC had you delivering and preparing this work in 12.9 hours. Now they expect you to do it in 5 hours and 15 minutes. That's the response that they've given to just the preparation part associated with asynchronous teaching. But don't forget there's more, right? We've also got evaluation and feedback. What happens there? So what the CEC have done is they've actually given us a little bit more time for essay and project, okay? But bear in mind that for these students, most of what they're going to be handing in is now going to be done online. And let's see what the CEC have done with that. Their proposed change is that they will take routine evaluation as grading of short answer tests by the teacher outside of teaching contact hours, right? So if you're doing short answers, then that would be routine. Bear in mind that previously you could use mechanical assistance or marking assistance. So this is what would normally happen with something like Turnitin or some sort of computer process where we would run sort of tests and comparing them, and then we would go through them at the end. What they're now doing is they've now got in-process evaluation and feedback, which is this lowest factor, is now anything assisted evaluation and feedback is grading generated using the use of computer-based question and answer software or other similar evaluative tools, or marking assistance are provided. Now, it's not clear what exactly they mean by this, but let's see if we can think about what that could be. Anytime that we use any sort of software, for example, your learning management system, let's say you're using Brightspace or Blackboard or one of those other systems, right? You are using computer-based question and answer software. Even if you generated those questions, right? That is a computer-based question and answer system, which means the moment you use your learning management system, suddenly your evaluation drops to the lowest possible available. So whereas previously you could have been using an essay that was running through Turnitin, now the moment you use Turnitin, the moment you use your learning management system to do that evaluation, you're slicing your evaluation time. So what does that do? Well, for my 3-hour course, which has 30 students in it, now the evaluation factor has dropped to a fraction of what it was. Okay, so for 30 students times 3 hours times this magic factor, which is what the CEC have come up with, you'll get less than 1 hour per week to evaluate those 30 students. Less than an hour a week. Okay, so, and think about this, anytime you're doing something asynchronously, those students aren't coming in to hand things to you. The moment you do something asynchronously, it's going to have to use a computer. Well, now we've got less than an hour associated with those 30 students. So what does that do? Well, we've still got our 30 students, but instead of being routine and assisted, right, now they've gone to in process. So what would have taken 4 or so hours is now being slashed by half. It may even be worse in the case in any given instance, because don't forget, some courses may have essay project or some other type of associated evaluation. Now, the CEC have said, well, don't worry about that. We're going to give you some more time because obviously for asynchronous teaching, there's going to be some contact of students outside of time. So their answer was this: where a college assigns a multimodal flexible course, it shall attribute time for additional out-of-class assistance according to the following formula: the number of students enrolled in the course times 0.015. They don't say where that number comes from, by the way. They just give it to us. Okay? So let's do that. So for my 30 students times that number, I'm getting 0.45 hours, or about half an hour a week, to deal with those students, right? Because 0.45 of an hour is just shy of half an hour, which gives me 1.35 hours for my 3 courses. So how does this all break down? So for my 2 hours asynchronous, 1 hour in person, originally I had 9 teaching contact hours. Now I have 3. My preparation hours a week were just about 4 hours. Now I have 2.25. Where I had evaluation and feedback hours of 4, Now I have 8.83. So it's still gone down, even though they've added that little bit of extra, right? The complementary hours, they have given us a little bit of extra. They've given us an extra 30 minutes, and we've still got the same complementary hours. Nothing's changed there. So again, remember, the workload task force said that everybody was doing more work than they've ever done before. Now they've said, well, actually, you are expected to have less than 7 hours of less time associated with that stuff, with that work. So you were doing the same work you're doing now, but the college is going to put less than 7 hours of time onto your workload sheet to tell you to do that work. But it actually gets worse. So you might think, okay, well, who cares? I'm still going to have those 3 courses. There's a hidden loophole that they put in. So under the CEC's proposed 1101D2, in situations where 4 course preparations are assigned and it results in fewer than 35 total workload hours, the college can add additional course preparations. So remember, if there's less than 35 hours on that SWF, the CEC will add course preparations until you go over 35. So what might that look like? We had three course preparations, and it brought us to 23 hours. Well, how many will it take to get us up past 35 hours? The answer is it'll take 8 of them. So under management proposals, you will get 8 multimodal sections to fill in your SWF. You would have gone from having 90 students and a full SWF to going up to 38 hours of 8 multimodal sections, each containing 30 students and having 240 students total for that week. That is their response to the workload task force. For multimodal teaching, management proposals will result in less hours for preparation, less hours for evaluation and feedback, less teaching contact hours, and more sections being put on faculty. In short, more work, less time. That is the problems with the management CEC proposals for workload. We're going to do this again. There'll be another video coming out for just asynchronous teaching, and another one showing you what our proposals do and how that aligns with the workload task force.